Today's guest, you do not want to kick.
Do not kick this guy.
You do not want to kick this man. He's a big man who I want to introduce right away. He's a very special guest. He is a stand-up comedian, a standout guy, and former professional UFC fighter. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Brendan Schaub.
Let's go.
Brendan Schaub is joining us today. How are you, Brendan?
I'm good, man. How you fellas doing?
Good. Are you dipping right now?
Yeah.
Where is it coming out?
YouTube. Decided to do YouTube.
You're a YouTube. Are you a vlogger?
No, not at all. No.
We got to go to dinner.
Wait, right now?
I think so.
A 42-minute boys only episode?
So last year, Brendan Schaub was doing the whole podcast tour promoting the now infamous Gringo Papi comedy special, and one of those shows was the Impulsive Podcast. Now, keep in mind that back then and still now, it's a massive show getting over 10 million monthly views, and it was probably the only time that Brendan Schaub was publicly disrespected and basically trolled on a massive podcast, especially by someone who not too long ago seemed to really like Schaub. And although now that podcast episode has over 1 million views and overall good reception, it was still a tough watch, and it was a clear reflection of how Brendan's reputation was declining if you compare the first time that he was on the Impulsive Podcast to his most recent appearance.
Brendan Schaub is joining us today. How are you, Brendan?
I'm good, man. How you fellas doing?
Good. Are you dipping right now?
Yeah, dude. Well, not tobacco though.
What is it?
Nicotine?
Was that
No?
was that a sponsor?
Yeah.
Are
But it started off naturally though. I've been with him I've been using it for 3 years.
Are we getting paid for?
I mean, you can have some if you want some.
Because what you
I'll
just
pay
said was prime nicotine is what it sounded like. When
Oh, because you guys use Prime?
we superimposed.
We drink Prime.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never and it's nice, huh?
You've never tried it?
No.
You need to try it Prime
Yeah,
immediately.
please do.
The blue next to you is unopened. Well, I should say why you're on. Well, you're on this show because you have a special coming out
Correct.
that I want to talk about.
Thursday.
This Thursday? Wait, next week.
Next week, Thursday.
Okay, so this will be coming out 2
2
days.
days.
Oh, awesome. Where is it coming out?
YouTube. Decided to do YouTube.
You're a YouTube. Are you a vlogger?
No, not at all. No.
You do YouTube?
You know, try.
You're doing great.
Yeah. No, you want for me, you want the most eyeballs possible. Like a special is basically a commercial to sell tickets on the road. So the number one way to make sure you're not behind a paywall or subscription is YouTube. I passed on the networks and decided to do it myself.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
You like Logan's shirt?
Yeah, I dig it.
Right away, you can tell the vibe was off and that they weren't too excited to have him on the podcast or to be doing the podcast at all, because they start the podcast with a weird interaction about Brendan Schaub's sponsor, which was a little bit silly, and then proceed to have probably one of the most awkward beginnings to a podcast ever by essentially mockingly asking Brendan Schaub if he was a YouTuber. And look, I'm pretty sure Brendan Schaub was caught off guard, but I still think that he is either too nice or not funny enough to pick up on those things and make fun of them, make jokes about it. For example, why be embarrassed or even hesitate when he asked if he was a YouTuber? Because if you think about it, Logan Paul and Brendan Schaub have probably been on YouTube for around the same amount of time, because Logan Paul was part of that 2015 Vine invasion that happened when Vine died and all of those creators went to YouTube. And it's about the same time that Brendan Schaub was starting the Fighter and the Kid podcast. And it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's not a bad thing to have comedians also be YouTubers. If you look at Joe Rogan, a huge part of his podcast success was that it was on YouTube's platform. But Logan and Mike clearly don't care about that, and they don't even engage. They completely ignore Brendan Schaub's explanation of why he was releasing it on YouTube, and instead they move on to something that's more interesting to them, which is Logan Paul's shirt.
Today's guest, you do not want to kick.
Do not kick this guy.
You do not want to kick this man. He's a big man who I want to introduce right away. He's a very special guest. As usual, I say this every time. He is a stand-up comedian, a standout guy, and former professional UFC fighter. And although I got all that off of Wikipedia, I'm sure it's somewhat accurate. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Brendan Schaub.
Let's go.
Yeah. What's up, fellas?
What's up, brother?
It's a good intro. I'll take that, man.
It's true, yeah?
I think so. Most of it.
Yo, we are most excited for you because you are podcast extraordinaire. You've been in the game. How long now have you been doing podcasts?
5-6 years now.
Do you know we dated the same girl?
Which one?
Wait, more than one?
Wait.
I don't know. What?
Do you know who I'm talking about?
I think so. Hey, we're brothers.
No, bro. Dude. That's cool, right?
This is great.
I wasn't sure if I was like allowed to say that, but you said it. So
I didn't know. Well,
yo, let's fucking
I'm
go.
not mad at it though.
Do you guys both?
Yo, you going on tour? Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to?
Stand up wise, I'm at the Ice House in Pasadena at the end of this month, and then Edmonton next month, and the special January 19th, San Diego.
Yeah, we should go to that.
You guys should come.
We're
San
coming.
Diego, Spreckles
Yeah.
Theater.
Okay,
We're there.
Yeah.
I would love to
Got
come to
some
that.
big boys open up for me too.
Okay, tight. Very cool. Yo, thank you for watching by far the best episode
one
of
so far,
Impulsive.
yeah.
And there's an obvious night and day difference from how Logan Paul treated Brendan Schaub before, 4 years ago, before Brendan Schaub released the comedy special that forever marked his comedy career, to how Logan treated him most recently when he was on the podcast for a second time. And it's so weird to watch those older videos now because at that time, Brendan Schaub was on top of the world. He was making a lot of money. Only 5 years into comedy, he was about to release a Showtime comedy special and was one of Joe Rogan's closest friends and had direct access to him. And Logan Paul knew that, so he acted accordingly. But now, only 3 years later, after Brendan Schaub's reputation was tarnished online and basically Logan Paul's podcast blew up, he no longer felt the need to be nice to Schaub. By the way, if you're liking what you're seeing so far, please make sure to hit that like button. It helps to push the video to more people, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Right. Yes, correct. And a certain
Yep.
hemisphere of the
I was in,
audience.
What? We got to go to dinner.
Wait, right now?
I think so.
A 42-minute boys only episode? Is that how long? What'd you say? No, I want to hear what you're saying right now.
We are here late. It's 8:30
Well,
p.m.
Oh, do you guys
We
not,
have-
usually
How long,
not do
how
it
long
this
has
late?
the episode been?
No, we never do it this late.
Really? Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Yeah, Anderson's very good.
You know,
He's a good boxer.
multiple world champ. Good boxer.
We got to go to dinner, bro.
Yeah, sorry guys.
It's all good. Where can they watch your special?
Thanks, man. Thick Boy YouTube drops Thursday.
Great, congrats, dude.
Yeah.
That's fun. I'll be watching.
Yeah, thanks, brother. It's
What
called the Gringo Papi. I just roast my Mexican family. I roast the shit. Yeah. They were not happy when they came to the table.
Fantastic, Kevin. How do you feel about that? He's Mexican.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because I haven't heard the jokes.
Some Flamin' Hot Cheeto jokes in there, shit like that. You'll like it, man.
Now, this is when things get really awkward because Logan Paul essentially loses interest in the podcast and just ends the podcast to go to dinner without making an excuse or even apologizing for it. He just said, "It's late. We need to go." At that point, Brendan Schaub was rushed to essentially finally plug his special during the last 3 minutes of the podcast, and then it ended. And from the looks of it, all of it was planned. All of it was intentional because if you notice, whenever they have a guest, they always put the guest's face and Logan's face on the thumbnail, basically signifying that it's an important episode or a main podcast episode, if that makes sense. Whenever they don't have a guest and they do what they call a boys only episode, they use everybody's face. George's, Logan's, and Mike's face. But the way that they uploaded Brendan Schaub's episode, they use his face along with Mike's and Logan's on the thumbnail, and they didn't include his name at the beginning of the title, but instead towards the end. And it makes it even more strange that Brendan Schaub still defends Jake Paul and Logan Paul like hard whenever people talk bad about them. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe to support the channel. Dislike if you didn't like the video, but that is all we have for today. See ya.